Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Ben Olson. I'm one of the co-founders of LSATdemon.com and our weekly podcast, Thinking LSAT. We have an email here from Jayden. Dear Ben and Nate, I hope this email finds you both well. It finds me well. Nate is taking a break today. Hopefully he's well as well. I'm currently subscribed to your Demon Live program and plan on taking my first official attempt at the LSAT this upcoming August. Okay, so you got 2 months. My diagnostic score was a 142. My average logical reasoning section score when I first started studying with you guys in May was a 7 out of 26 correct. It has been 5 weeks since I started studying, and I'm now averaging a 12 out of 26 per logical reasoning section. I struggle with level 3 through 5 difficulty questions, while level 1 and 2 are a piece of cake. I haven't touched RC yet, as my main goal is to master LR first. Okay, Jayden, I'm just going to stop there. I know you have more to say. I do want to say a couple things. One, 142 is a very normal starting score. Most people start in the 140s. Some people start below that. Some people obviously start above that, but very common starting score. Logical reasoning is clearly a weakness for you, starting with 7 out of 26. Now you're at 12 out of 26. You don't mention how many questions you're attempting per section, but my hope is that you're only attempting 12, 13, 14 questions at most, and the rest you're just not getting to, because I want your accuracy score to be what you focus on. By reporting the number that you get correct out of the total number of questions in the section, suggests that you're focusing on your raw score rather than your accuracy score. If you're doing all 26 questions, for example, you're going way too fast. And if you slow down and attempt only 12 or 13 questions, you'll actually find yourself probably getting to 14, 15 questions and getting more of those correct than your current 12. So anyways, make sure you're focusing on accuracy. The other thing here is it's not surprising, given the number of questions you're getting correct, that you're feeling good about level 1 and 2 questions and not so good about level 3, 4, and 5 questions. That's just going to come with time. You did say you hadn't touched RC yet because you want to master LR first. This is a super common mistake that new test takers make. Even if you're twice as good at reading comp as you are at LR, you're going to want to do some RC. You're going to want to do some reading comp as you study. Maybe you do the vast majority of your time on logical reasoning, but don't do logical reasoning exclusively. I've never done a triathlon, but it would be strange to work on mastering the running section of the race first, and then planning to get to biking and then eventually swimming later. Even if your weakest part of the race was running, you would still be doing biking and swimming a little bit to, at the very least, keep yourself in shape for those things. The LSAT's different in the sense that you don't have to keep yourself in shape, but you definitely want to be taking a break from LR, especially if it's such a weakness for you. And the perfect way to take a break is to do some reading comprehension. So yeah, do a little bit of both starting today. You continue. A little bit about me is that I'm an underrepresented minority and currently have a 3.85 GPA in undergrad. Okay, great. I also have recently been awarded the most prestigious award bestowed upon an undergraduate student at my university, as I am currently involved in 8 to 9 organizations/activities on campus and studied abroad. Wow, that's interesting. The most prestigious award goes to the person who is the most involved? It seems like an odd thing to reward. I mean, it's great that you're involved, but to the extent that it distracts you from your GPA and to the extent that it stretches you too thin to the point where you can't maybe be as well involved as you could be with some of these organizations or your classes, I'm not sure this is necessarily a good thing, right? There is this sense in our society that more is always better. That's not always true. My goal is to go to a T14 law school where I can eventually pursue big law. I am severely struggling getting better at the LSAT and plan on doing personal tutoring with you guys. Wait a sec. Jayden, you started studying in May, last month. You've gone from getting 7 correct in logical reasoning to now getting 12 correct in logical reasoning. You're making solid, totally reasonable progress. I don't know that you're severely struggling. It sounds like your journey is pretty typical, if not accelerated compared to some people. Personal tutoring can help, but I would definitely just leverage live for now and see how far you can get. And maybe you'll never need to get tutoring and spend money on that, which is, very expensive compared to live. My study schedule consists of me studying 8 hours a day. My question is, how do you guys feel about splitters when it comes to students with high GPAs and stellar resumes, but average LSAT scores? My goal LSAT score is a 170, but I'm moving slower than a turtle when it comes to getting better. You're not moving slower than a turtle. You are studying a lot every day. 8 hours is too much for 99% of those pursuing the LSAT. And so my guess is that it's too much for you. I would encourage you to cut that in half, maybe more. 1 to 2 hours of really good hours could do a lot more for you than 4 hours, and definitely better than 8 hours. You might actually see your progress go up with less work. No, I mean, you will see your progress improve with less work. The real key to making progress on the LSAT is doing an official question as best you can. Drilling encourages that, right? Because there's nothing going on except for the question in front of you. So you do that question as best you can. If it doesn't make sense, you dig into the text, you break down the sentences, you figure it out. You think about it. You look away from the page, you look away from the screen, you mull it over in your mind. You come up with an example of whatever the hell they're talking about, and you ask yourself, okay, if I manipulated this example in the way that the passage is talking about, can I make sense of this question? Can I make sense of this passage? You then pick an answer as best you can. You then see what the correct answer is and start reviewing our explanation. You watch the video. If it still doesn't make sense, you send in a question to the Ask team. The point is that your progress is going to come from trying your best to get the question right, and then trying your best to make sense of it once you see the correct answer. Hopefully you got it right, but even if you didn't, review it. So you're doing an official question and then you're reviewing it. And if that means that you do that for 2 hours one day and you only get through 20 questions, but you understand those questions very well to the point where you could explain them to other people, you will have made more progress on the LSAT than if you sat there for 8 hours and did multiple sections and did a cursory review of each question, right? The goal here is not quantity, it's quality. And that's where you move the needle. Because if you can get yourself to understand one question fully, then you've just unlocked hundreds of other questions that are exactly the same, but just on a slightly different topic. Right? The LSAT is so repetitive. We do this all the time where we start reading a question and it says something like, if the weather is horrible today, Joey will quit his job. The weather isn't horrible today. And we're like, okay. I can see where this is going. You're going to make a big mistake here. You're going to think that Joey isn't going to quit his job because the weather isn't bad. And you said that he would quit his job if it is bad. And there's two things going on there. One, we're recognizing where the argument is almost certainly going to go, even though we haven't read the rest of the argument yet. And we're anticipating the exact flaw that the argument is going to make. Now, it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes the argument goes in a different direction. But 9 times out of 10, it goes in the direction I'm anticipating it to go. It makes the flaw that I anticipated. And I'm already anticipating what the question is going to ask me. And then lo and behold, it says, which one of the following is best describes the error in reasoning of the argument above? And you're going, aha, okay, well, I knew you were going to ask me what the flaw is because I knew that the argument was going to be flawed in this way before I even finished reading the argument. Now I'm saying if you're not doing that yet, it's not a problem, but you can get there because the test repeats itself so much. That's why it's a standardized test. That's why you can take one LSAT and then take another one that was released years later, get a score from it, and the scores are going to be relatively close to each other. They're not going to be the same, but they're relatively close to each other because both tests are predicting your reading comprehension and logical reasoning skills with decent accuracy. So anyways, the point is that focus on studying less time, focus on studying fewer questions, but understanding them better, and see where it takes you. In terms of your question about splitters, you have a high GPA. It could be higher. The fact that you're focusing on the LSAT now could be a mistake. You're doing so many activities and organizations. Could you have a better GPA if you dropped just some of them? If you look at your list of activities, is there one that's just extraordinarily time consuming? Drop it. Could that help you get straight A's now in a way that you don't have yet? I mean, your GPA is a 3.85, so you're not going to get to 4.0 overall, but could you end with a higher GPA because you have higher grades now than you would have if you had kept doing these activities and kept studying for the LSAT? Your highest priority is to bring your GPA up. Then once you have 4.0 grades in your current semester or higher, then you can turn your focus to the LSAT because the two most important numbers in your application are going to be those numbers. And I guess what I'm saying is I don't think you need to think of yourself as a future splitter. I think you have the potential to do very well in the LSAT. We don't know for sure, of course. Everyone's different, but don't give up on it yet. Change your study approach and see how far you can go in a few months and then reevaluate. I hope that's helpful. Anyways, thanks for writing in, Jayden. Write us back and let us know how it's going, or we'll see you in class. Either way, I hope to see you in class. Email daily@lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.